Welcome back, everybody. I have been wanting to talk to Alex for quite a long time. I think both of us started our channels around the same time. We're going to double check on that in a few minutes. And I've been enjoying his, and I think he's having so much fun doing it, and it's such a great value for people that I really wanted to talk to him. So welcome to the show, actor, director, songwriter, dancer, a YouTuber. We're going to talk about all of those things. Alex Perez, welcome.
Thank you, Alan. It's such a joy to finally be together with you, which is really, really great. And we've been chatting for quite a while, and it's just nice to be here and to share and to merge the forces, as they say, you know.
Absolutely. When did you officially launch yours? Mine was May 20th. When did you go up with yours?
I think we did like a pre-launch kind of thing for the Actors Channel on in April, and but it for about a month. It was just more about figuring out what to do with it. I think I only posted a teaser, and I ran that for a month and 2 months. And I think I purposefully did that just to create a deadline for myself, because now it was like, oh, okay, well, it's picking up, so I guess I got to do something.
Yeah,
I guess I got to post a video. I guess that's what we do in these kinds of things, right? Post videos.
I think so. I think so.
So I
So
think I did it to push me to just light a fire underneath my quarantine booty.
yeah, no, that's perfect. And by the way, if it click below, make sure that you go subscribe and watch all the wonderful content that Alex is creating for you. It's a great resource. I really like it. I don't ever lie to people about this kind of stuff. Oh, that's an interesting question. Do I ever lie to people in general? I try not to. So I'm usually a very honest and forthcoming person. So I actually really like Alex's channel. Please go subscribe there. So
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
it's great because again, both of us are coming from the perspective of what can we do during these COVID times that actually will help other people uh,
Hmm.
take their minds a little bit away from all the craziness that's happening outside, but also take that time when we as actors are not working. And what can we do in order to get better? And both of us want to give back and to offer something. And you're doing it your way, I'm doing it my way. I hope whatever we're doing helps somebody, and that's my intention. That's why I'm having fun with it. But looking at what you're doing and looking at your channel and just how much fun you seem to be, at least on camera, you seem to be having it. I think it's contagious. What has been the reception so far? Because I know I'm laughing and I'm getting something out of it when I'm watching it.
Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. Yeah, no, this was the thing that I've actually had planned for many, many years. It was something that I've always had in the back burner to do. I wanted to create an outlet where I wanted to combine my experience as an arts educator for so many years, as well as a director, choreographer, as a casting director, as an actor. And it was just a matter of what do I do, how do I do it, what kind of a format I want to create. And I wanted to create a fun format for all levels of actors. So, I think predominantly it does target the young actor, the high school, the college actor, but young actors come in all ages, I always say, because there are people who want to just start acting when they're in their 30s or 40s or even their 70s and 80s, and they just don't know how to align themselves or how to get on that road. And I felt like I want to do something for that person, and I want to do something for that kind of person, and still also create something for the professional who can always tap back in and just get a little aha moment, or maybe just some refreshers, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and so I wanted to create something that was audio and visual and whimsical, that can still be of contribution to in a positive light with a lot of joy, but
Mhm.
also fun, because I think there's we tend to forget that acting should be fun.
Yeah.
And not be so
Dramatic.
theoretically dramatic all the time. And so I loved variety shows. I grew up watching a lot of skit comedy. I grew up, of course, loving things like Sesame Street and SNL and things that were educational, but also short and quick and fun and teaches you something at the end. And all of those kind of influences is what really started this whole thing. I never saw anything that was kind of like, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood meets Pee-wee's Playhouse, but
Yeah.
for actors and for entertainers. And so it was like sort of the perfect fusion that everything started happening in the world in March and things started closing down. And I said, oh, this is the time. This is the time to actually focus and funnel on it. But it has been years. It's been years in the making, and finally, it's just nice to get it out there in the world. So
No, it's awesome, and speaks to a lot of the differences between what you and I are doing. Because while I think it's uplifting and whimsical, yours are much shorter. Mine are much longer conversations. I was inspired by James Lipton, so these are the conversations that I'm having that take sometimes hours, and I
absolutely.
enjoy the heck out of it. So I'm just hoping some people will stay and watch all of it and get all of the information from it. But it's great that you're doing it in such a way, because again, during a lot of the stuff that's happening right now, to get something whimsical that combines joy and information that's useful is something that's kind of doubly important at this time. And
Hmm.
I when you talk about that, you're making it for actors who are, kind of earlier on in their careers. There are a lot of people that I've spoken to over the last 3 months that have graduated. I'm not going to name the programs because I don't want to put them in the wrong light, but you know who you are. You are exceptionally well-known programs for which people spend years and tens of thousands of dollars, and they don't even tell them what a mark is. They don't even tell them anything about auditioning. They don't
Oh
prepare
yeah.
them for the life of an actor unless all you're doing is just going and you're in theater. So kind of, we're going to teach you how to be an actor, but we're not going to teach you how to get a job at being an actor and actually have a living at being an actor. And Eve Gordon, who's wonderful, who's been in everything that I've seen for the last 20 some years. Her very first experience on her very first movie with Robin Williams, they asked her to go and hit the mark, and she asked them literally, "What is the mark?" And they laughed because they thought she was just funny, and she felt, like, I'm not gonna say how she felt at that moment, but I would feel like an idiot because I go to this incredible school that she went to, and they didn't even teach me what a mark is. Really, I have to be focused on how I can actually do my job as an actor in my very first movie with Robin Williams. And you didn't teach me any of the technical stuff. That shouldn't be entering my mind right now. I should be focusing on something else. So
Absolutely.
I'm glad you're doing this because it's not just for the up and comers. It, unfortunately, and thankfully for you being there, it's also for the people who are in these great programs that just don't teach this stuff for whatever unknown reason to me.
Yeah, and I myself was pretty much a school jumper. I did jump around to a lot of different universities and colleges, and I studied from here and there, and I did some conservatories and summer programs. And what I did notice was that common thread that, it was like, well, there's nothing here related to the business whatsoever. And there's never anyone there to tell you all the things and all the tools that you need to survive as an actor, let alone, I mean, I would have loved to even have a class on doing my taxes. you know, just simple things like that. And not that we'll probably ever cover that in our show, maybe.
That certainly could be whimsical.
Yeah, right. But I think it's important to, also understand that there's a whole other luggage full of tools that we can definitely use as actors. And if you if you go through my episodes, even though the main concentration is always on a specific topic, whether it be headshots or whether it be, walking into a room or whatever it is, there's still going to be a smorgasbord of other topics embedded in the episode, so that way you get a little bit of an overall worldview and a perspective that can add to something else. And that's why it's important to sort of, watch them. Sometimes it's good to watch different ones that are, because you'll find the common thread and a connection through all of them, through their characters or through the segments that we're doing.
Yeah, and again, it's like that information is so useful. I graduated. I didn't go to any theater programs, so when I was already working, not as an actor. I was working in an IT and HR field, and I was just taking classes. And thankfully, I was taking auditioning class. I was taking, this workshop or a commercial workshop, or I actually did all of the business aspect before I got into any acting aspect, which was also incorrect because I felt like I knew what I was doing, but I really didn't until I really started kind of getting into the fundamentals of the acting part. But what I find, again, frustrating for me as an observer, is in the acting schools, in these famed acting schools, they always love to start out with this funny haha thing of look to your left and look to your right. Only one of you is actually going to be in this business. Well, screw you, but tell why that's happening. It's not just because of your talent, and it's because you're not freaking teaching them how to be in the business and actually make a living. It's just so ridiculous to me.
Yeah, well, a lot of it too is very ego driven, I'm sure. And it's just a moment. It's unfortunate that a lot of schools, don't teach the basic 101s, and so I thought it was fun to do that here. And you do that with your show too. I mean, you, especially with a lot of the topics that you cover, and as your interviews go on and on. As it gets deeper into the surface, it's always nice to hear those conversations on your show, because it's all the stuff that you would never get in a classroom. So it's kind of nice.
Thank you. And that's kind of the point. Both of us are trying to make sure that the reality of what is a world like. My first experience of being on set, I heard camera. Okay, I understood that part. I was waiting for the action, and the action came much later. Then I heard something about speeding. I'm like, what's speeding? Who's speeding? Is this something that what am I supposed to be doing with this? Like, it's hard enough to be on set as is. And that, these are the questions that I want to ask. How do you stay in character, take after take after take after take after take? If you're using a specific method to tap into an emotion, does that emotion continue to come for you take after take after take? Because it didn't for me. And I tried this and I tried this. What works for you? Like all of these questions, that's what's important, plus the reality of what is the life like. So my hope in reality is that people look at my show, they look at your show, and they get all of this information that can be useful to them, and they can enjoy it, and they can become better actors and better prepared for the world that's out there.
And then the world would be complete.
Yes, I think so. we take your whimsy and my seriousness, and hopefully, they get something out of both.
Absolutely.
So how long does it take for you to kind of put together a script, because you have all sorts of characters that you're doing it? How long does it take for you to put together an episode, and what's the process like?
For me, sometimes the characters come very quickly, and sometimes they take time. Sometimes I base them off of family members, or sometimes I base them off of people that I've worked with on set. A lot of these characters, they're people that I talk to on a normal basis on my own, by myself. But I feel like everything happens in blocks and chunks. The show is devised in segments, so there's always the main lesson, which we focus on, and then there's the bits and the skits, and then of course we have like words of wisdom, which we like to do, and an actor quest, which is just a question to pose to an actor for the day, to cover for that week. So all of that kind of stuff, in a nutshell, can easily take about 2 to 3 months to shoot, simply because it's just a process. I never ever want to feel rushed with any of the process. But I also know that there's a timeline to follow and there's a schedule to meet. So sometimes the schedule and the deadline inspires me to write very quickly, and sometimes there are characters that I've had that I've been sitting on for a while that I'm like, oh, this would be good for this. I have characters in my head for, season 3, season 4, maybe, but sometimes they just don't work right with whatever we're talking about in the topic.
Yeah.
Upcoming up on season 2, all the characters are brand new, so I don't revisit anything from season 1. Sorry if anybody is looking towards seeing anything, but they're new ones, and it's a whole plethora of new opportunities to sort of help those personalities shine. And some I felt wouldn't work right for season 2, so I'm saving them for the next one. And that's
Gotcha.
just sort of the vibe.
Nice. So it's more of the oh my God, now the name escapes me. It's more of the True Detective rather than the Wire kind of approach to.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is, like, right now I'm all of season 2 is done. Pretty much everything's in the canon done. And once we launch season 2 in September, that's when I start getting to work on season 3. So at least it's giving me and it's 10 episodes per season. So
Yeah.
At least it gives me a good 2.5 months of working on the next thing. So that's where we're at.
Very cool. Well, again, I applaud you for doing it and for putting so much effort into it. It's definitely a very enjoyable and useful product when you're done with it. So that's great.
Thank you.
One thing, just to again, show the reality of this. Of course, you have sponsors. You're getting paid what? You don't have to say the exact amount, but you're in the 6 figures for doing these seasons, of course, and they're going to be airing on these short, right? Yeah. So it's all you, right? It's all coming out of your pocket, and you're doing this out of your own time, out of the goodness of your own heart, because you're trying to share it. That's the reality, right?
Absolutely. I have no one. No one is forcing me, and no one is paying me.
And your crew is of one.
Pretty much. Yep. I do have some help with people, friends who advise. I always like to test out a character or test something out and be like, what do you think? And I like to get certain feedback from trusted friends. But yes, it's everything is directing, producing, shooting, editing. That's the fun one. But as actors and as performers, we have to be all that, and we have to understand that, and if we want a career in this industry, a really good career, we need to be hands-on in every single aspect. If you're not understanding what it is to judge what a resume should be like for you, or what your headshot should look like, or what your real, I know a lot of actors who just leave the work to someone else to do, and that's great if you don't feel that you are technically advanced. But I would say, and I would recommend, learn how to edit, learn how to do a reel, learn how to edit pictures, learn how to do all of these things that you're going to need when you start to realize that it is about 20% talent and 80% marketing.
Yeah.
And if you're not hands-on the marketing aspect or the creativity aspect of putting yourself out there, then get working on it, because that is a good part of it. And again, going back to, college doesn't teach you 101 marketing for actors, and I feel that it's something that's really important to understand, that in this industry, and this ever-changing industry, we always have to be on top of it, just the same way that we, as actors, when in the 80s and 90s, when black and white headshots were the thing, and then it certainly turned to color, people were freaking out. and it's like, how could you, what color shots? We're not going to do color shots. It doesn't bring out the true raw essence of you in black and white. How could that be, uh, and sure enough, things change and time changes, and it's the same thing with what we're going through right now in this industry. I can't, I mean, I wonder what the percentage is of actors who had to actually run and go get a self-tape kit because they didn't have one before this pandemic. And the numbers of actors who had to understand what a ring light was, or or things like that. And there's probably people watching now going, what's a ring light? What do I need? What do I need to get my hands on?
There's
And
a ring light right there.
yep,
There's
there you go. Yep,
These are
there you go.
right
There
there.
you go. There you go.
That is nothing more than just me sitting in my office with something on my wall. So
Yeah.
it's not that difficult.
No,
And
and
it's not
and
expensive, by the way, either.
yeah, absolutely. And I think people have to understand that if you really want to survive in this industry, you have to be on top of all of the technological stuff and really understand what it is to always learn to adapt and always change and always grow. Because if it's the big rule is always, the minute you stop asking questions or the second you stop adapting, you're done. Your career is done. So I've always learned that, and I've always known that for many years. And I just felt that by doing this channel, it was going to be a chance to allow people who are in the dark about all of this, give them a little bit of sense of hope and understand that, just because the world stops for a little while doesn't mean that you have to stop.
Yeah, what hasn't changed about our headshots, even though we went from black and white to color, they're still 8x10. I have no idea why.
Right.
Why? You're forcing, and for the most part, actors don't make money. Actors are beautiful, incredible, artistic souls, and most of them don't make enough money to live on. You're asking actors to pay hundreds of dollars in order to get their headshots on an 8x10 paper, and then you have to change that all the time. Why not just change that to 8.5x11? Can we please, as an industry, kind of advance? We're already in digital. We're already. Sorry.
I think that's intentional, though. I think they just want to give the scissor companies some business. So when you have to cut your resume on the top and paste it on the back of your headshot, you have something to work on.
Silly, right? And these are the little things that I'm being that I didn't grow up as an actor. I acted as a child, and then I had a career as an IT and HR guy. My mind is in the corporate, and this inefficiency, kind of, I'm looking at our business, and I see so many inefficiencies and inadequacies that I really want to fix, and I can't do anything about. It drives me nuts. So the other thing that you mentioned that I actually want to come back to, you said it's 20% talent and 80% marketing. I'm going to be Yogi Berra, and I'm going to add some more percentages over 100, but a lot of it is relationships. So it's kind of the group of people that you form relationships with, not because you're trying to, again, there is these misconceptions that you have to sleep with somebody in the business in order to make it in the business. That's not true. It certainly hasn't been for me. Not that my wife would appreciate that sentiment in general, but it's the people who you go to classes with. It's the people who you work with. It's the people who you kind of grow through this business with, and they continue. Look at Adam Sandler and all the same people he uses in his movies. Look at Seth Rogen and all of the same group of people he works with. Look at Quentin Tarantino, all the same group of people he works with. That's how it's done. You have to establish relationships with people on a genuine basis, and then if there is a connection, that connection will allow all of you to grow together.
Yeah, and I think that that's why I'm a big proponent of going to college or going to school to study, because that's really where you're going to find your common ground with people. And everyone that you just mentioned there were all most of them college buddies, or you know, it's their own little film fraternities that they create, you know, and it just starts from there. So it's really interesting to see how that evolves. And of course, when one of them gets their foot in the door, they help everybody else, you know, with that.
Yeah, and I love that about our business. And
Hmm.
that's such a kind of a heartwarming part to me, is because I've seen people in the business, and again, I'm at this level, right? So it's not like I'm a series regular or even a guest star anywhere. But the people that I've seen that are at my level or just above my level are nice, genuine people who are all trying to be in this for the right reasons.
Hmm.
I've seen a few who are not, and then they fall out very quickly. But for the most part, it's good people, and you want to help each other out. I take such great pleasure in somebody calling me and saying, "Hey, we have a project. I cannot do it for whatever reason." The second thing immediately out of my mouth is, "I know somebody who could be good for you," and I take as much joy in them getting a job as in me getting a job, and
Absolutely.
that's what it's about.
Absolutely, and I've done that many times too, where sometimes I would be booked on another job and I wouldn't be able to do it, and they would come up to me and ask me who can we use, and right away I go to my immediate friends that I know will be handle the job, and that I can entrust and that I can feel really good recommending, which is really nice. So it's always important to build those relationships. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you mentioned Saturday Night Live, which I found interesting because again, I came here as a 14-year-old kid, so I really kind of didn't start to get into Saturday Night Live until much later. But you grew up watching it. You were a New Yorker, New York, New Jersey guy. You grew up
Mhm.
watching it, and then you spent quite a few years on Saturday Night Live. Let's talk about that and kind of transition into your career and your background of all the stuff that you have done. So
Yeah.
how did get on SNL, and how did that take off for you?
I've been there 13 years now as a player. So anytime you see any skit with
Yep.
groups involved, we rehearse throughout the week. Sometimes they'll have rehearsals. Well, Monday is their writing day, so they're privately writing and building. Tuesday and Wednesday is when they start to decide what skits are going to go in, and that's when the set designers start to build everything, costume and wardrobe start to create around it, and then they bring us in, and we come into rehearsals for the most part Thursdays or Fridays,
Mhm.
or both days. Sometimes earlier in the week, the pre-taped stuff usually happens Wednesday, Thursday. Sometimes late Friday night, all the way into 4 or 5 in the morning. I have no idea how they can work into 5 in the morning on a Saturday and still rest, I think, for a little bit, and then have to be back in the studio by 1 o'clock in the afternoon to have another set of rehearsals all day long, to then go live. But it's for me, it's the utmost institution of all institutions. I think being an observer over the last 13 years there has taught me so much. It's definitely a strong influence in my show, for sure.
Yep.
But it's something that I've loved to do when I was a kid. Not to date myself, but I've been alive just as long as the show has been around.
Uh-huh.
So I remember being 6, 7, 8 years old, and just waiting to, sneaking downstairs to the one television we used to have in the house, and while everybody was asleep on Saturday nights, I would sneak downstairs and just, watch, Belushi and Aykroyd and Gilda Radner and all these wonderful people, and remember just emulating them and then copying what they would do throughout the rest of the week. And
Yep.
any little characters or nuances that I learned that Saturday night, I would spend bothering my whole family Monday through Friday with all these new characters that I've created until the next Saturday when I got a whole slew of new characters. So that was me growing up, and to be able to finally get on that show, I still get chills walking into that studio after 13 years later, because there's so much history and so many people who have done incredible things, memorable things, historical moments in television history that have happened all in this little, teeny studio.
Yeah.
And I always get, the hairs on my arms always stand when I'm in that room. I never take it for granted, and I completely appreciative and grateful for being there for 13 seasons. So it's neat, and it's also neat to be a part of that world, the player background world in that show, because it's just really cool to sort of, half of the time you're there, you're kind of a fly on the wall watching the magic happen. But for
Yep.
me, it's school. It's free school, and I get paid for it, which is which is great too, you know. And so for me, it's just a joy, and I do not ever take a moment there for granted. I love it there. I absolutely love it there.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I've had a chance to visit the studio twice. Again, coming from Chicago, anytime we go to New York, it's, yeah, I need to visit 30 Rock. I need to take the NBC studio tour, and it's the first time kind of walking through that. And of course, we didn't get to be on stage because they don't do that. You're kind of just looking from afar, and then you get to go inside and kind of sit on the second or third row, third level, and just watching that. And the first time I was there, by the way, we didn't even get to enter the studio because they had everything closed because the rehearsals were going on, and Tina Fey was there. And I just, finished Second City at that time, and I went, complete fanboy, loopy. I see, I'm looking, and there's this, glass window, and I'm looking, and I see Tina Fey, and I started jumping. I was like, Tina, hi, Tina, and then Tina sees me and just like,
Yeah.
it's this. I'm thinking, come on, Second City, Tina, you were there. Steve was there. I was right there on Second City, and now I see where you are. So I went complete ballistic. And then the second time, thankfully, we had a chance to go inside. The amount of lights that are all about that place is staggering. I don't know how many thousands of lights there are. It's just,
Yeah.
it's an amazing atmosphere. I can't believe that you get a chance to do that, because me just being there on the outside, in a way, is making my hairs go up. I can't understand what it would be like to be there in person.
Well, and also to just respect that process of what it is to create those skits. And I think a lot of people really don't understand that this is live. It's live skit comedy that is consistently changing all the way up to Saturday 11 o'clock. There are skits that are shortened and changed, things that are done on the spot, costumes, wigs, wardrobe that are changed last minute before going on live. And you have to be completely ready for the storm that's coming your way. And not only are you performing for this live audience in front of you, but for the world, for millions and millions of viewers. And the pressure is intense, and the pressure is incredibly intense. And just to watch everybody as busy bees backstage with set design or the technical aspects, the camera aspects, the lighting aspects, it's pretty brilliant to just be there and see all of that happening. And like I said, it's school. It's just free schooling. It's just pretty amazing.
It's awesome. And then you take one of your dreams, and then you take another of your dreams of being associated with theater and dance and Broadway, and you get a chance to do that too, and also choreograph. The people that are on there. You're living all sorts of childhood and actor dreams. I love that. So how did the path to Broadway kind of originate?
I was involved in a lot of musical theater growing up in my community, and I did a lot. I primarily came from the theater. And before going into film and television, I definitely have strong theater roots. So I was doing a lot of auditioning and off-Broadway shows when I was a kid growing up. By the time I was 17, I was choreographing off-Broadway theater, choreographing for dance groups. I got involved with MTV when they used to, show music videos. I got involved with a lot of the casting process of doing music videos and dancing for backup dancing for a lot of artists of the time. So all of that kind of like, rolled into this ball of performing and choreography, and people were relying on me to help with little bits here and there and work on tours and work on music videos. And that's just how it all started. And then sure enough, I started really getting a nice bulky resume by the time I was in my 20s. And and so I got into choreography and directing and casting, and it all kind of helped each other out.
Yeah, and how again? I've spoken to a number of people who are Broadway folks, and I feel terrible for them because now Broadway is not going to be on until maybe January. I don't
Maybe.
know. Yeah, how?
I think it's a big maybe.
Yeah, how are people that you know from that world handling it, and what are they doing with their time?
Well, a good chunk of my friends, New York City friends, are no longer New York City residents. A lot of them have moved back to their original states or homes for now. New York City is going through a very interesting change right now, and I feel like there's at this moment everyone is sitting on pins and needles right now, trying to figure out what the next step is going to be. Film and TV production has slowly started to open up. I've had a couple of auditions for some guest spots, work on television shows already, which is okay, but I'm personally deathly afraid of walking onto a set personally. Just because that's just, I think, part of the thing that comes with everything. And I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because even the castings that I have seen and a couple of agents have contacted me for some work. They've all said, are you in New York? That's the first question is, are you in New York? Because it seems like no one else is. So it's like, yeah, I'm here. I'll take someone's job. But that's what it feels like sometimes. It feels like the New York City right now is very quiet, and it's very empty. And we're just trying to find hope and trying to find a way to sort of move along and go with the changes that are happening. So.
Yeah, it's definitely different from the New York City that I know that I've visited many times. But hopefully, as things start to kind of come down and we get to a point where we return to some level of normalcy. But yeah, I need Broadway to be back. I grew up on musicals. Musicals are my happy place. I can't have New York without musicals. That's just not okay by me. In terms of acting gigs, same thing in Chicago. Things are starting to slowly open up. Here's another, by the way, reality of the acting business. You get an acting gig. It's a paid acting gig, right? So I get one. I go to south side of Chicago. I drive for an hour and 20 minutes. I do the acting gig. It's great. I'm happy. We're wearing masks unless we're shooting. Everything's okay. You wash your hands. You be careful. You drive back. I'm very excited. I'm happy. Then I realize that on the way I punctured a tire. So now I have to, that paid gig. I get paid whatever, and I spend 10 times more replacing the tires and doing all of the fixing. So there you go. That's acting life for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In terms of New York, what I hear now is there was an audition that I just did for Connecticut, And there, the first thing is, okay, we're shooting around this time. It's going to be done at this location. If you're from these states, you have to be here 14 days in advance. If you're from these states, you don't have to. Thankfully for us, knock on wood, holding fingers crossed, Illinois is not on that list. So technically, I wouldn't have to wait if I have to travel there. But just the thought of getting on a plane to go somewhere, I don't know. I'm not sure that I'm okay with that. So everything is just really weird right now.
Yeah, and I think it's just a matter of finding ways to keep busy and staying creative, and hopefully we will rise a lot sooner than expected. Hopefully, so.
I hope so. And in the meantime, you and I have our shows to do, and that's what we're going to be playing with. So we're good from that perspective. Very cool. All right, so I want to go back to your show for a second before we move on to another topic.
Sure.
In some of your characters, you have your natural beard. Some of the characters you can't have a beard. So my question is, are you doing the? I'm assuming you don't have the budget that Avengers have with in hiding the beard. So do you shave for those episodes and then you grow it back, or do you apply a lot of makeup and hope it works?
No, absolutely. I shoot back. I shoot, I guess, reverse. So everything that I can get away with keeping this guy, I'll shoot, and then the final, characters that I know that I won't, I'll shave for, and I'll do that. Luckily, though, I managed this upcoming season 2. I've managed to work around the beard in a lot of really interesting, fun ways. So, I see now you're gonna watch. Now you're gonna watch from episodes and be like, okay, how did he work? How did he work around the beard?
Chris Evans is the first thing that came to my mind. I'm like, okay, well, he's using some sort of prosthetic when he's Captain America. And he said he's not going to shave his beard, so I wonder what Alex is doing. So that was the first. Very cool.
One day, maybe one day we'll have a budget to hire Chris Evans' makeup team, and see what happens.
Hey, it's again, knock on wood and keeping my fingers crossed for you, and let's jump into other things that you do, because again, you've been on TV, you've been in one of my favorite shows ever, which of course I'm always late to the party. So I started watching Kimmy Schmidt's really about 2 months ago. That's when I started watching. I can't believe myself because it's such a ridiculously amazing show. And I understand all of the reasons why I love it. I can't believe that I just wasted, a couple of years and didn't start watching it earlier. But
see, this is why Tina Fey ignored you that one time.
Tina, you were absolutely correct. I have to stand by that. So, I am laughing hysterically when I'm watching the show as an observer. Then there's a part of me that's the writer that I am snickering at all of the fun bits that they got a chance to play with, because it's awesome. And they can do meta, and they can do a lot of these little things that I just enjoy so much. How much fun is it actually being on the set?
It's another extension of SNL.
I think so. Yeah.
I think Tina learned so much on the set of SNL that she basically, I would assume that she took what she learned from that model and brought it into her own show. And I think a lot of the trust that happens in that show is actors are allowed to play, which is so nice. And they're given the freedom to play. And I would notice on many takes, every single take that, whether it was Titus or Elle or any of them, actually, they always did something completely different from what they did past. Where in other situations where you go to work and you try and just nail like how to do that line delivery, and you just drill over and over again. On this set, it was very different, because it's always about just, okay, let's just throw it out the door and do something else, and that's always admirable. That's always fun. Bad for the editor, but they have a great editing team, so that's that's a testament to the editors. And then, I fell into it at the start of season 2, and I
Mhm.
actually worked on it for 3 seasons. I am something very interesting in that show that I think a lot of people don't, realize that takes a lot of work. But coming from the choreography theater background that I had, I got hired on that show to do most of the animated puppets that are in the show.
That's awesome.
Um, I am in one episode with Jeff Goldblum. He has a talk show, uh, and
Yep.
he has the one character is deathly afraid of whales, killer
Yep.
whales. I am the giant killer whale that comes in and chases after her on the talk show. In another episode, there's a Halloween episode where a giant red fuzzy monster walks in on Titus, and in the break room of the Jekyll and Hyde restaurant that he works in, I
Mhm.
am the giant fuzzy red monster. In the Easter episode, I am the giant bunny that's standing in the middle of this fight that's happening, and they're handing out Fabergé Easter eggs, and I'm the giant bunny. So I've had the joy of playing all these rando stuffed animal, furry animals. And Tina, her brain's wacky, but I think the ongoing joke that they have in the show is they always wanted some sort of like live, animal, some sort of animal in every episode, or some sort of person in a suit. So there's the robot, the robot's always,
Oh yeah.
going around everywhere. But yeah, I've had the joy to like be all these different things and work with all these incredible directors, but with my face
I
covered,
know. I know.
which is really fun actually. And let me tell you, there's nothing more joyous than having to go to work with a pair of sweatpants and a t-shirt, not have to worry about makeup, not have to worry about any of how you look, and just
Yep.
using your body and your physical comedy as a way to sort of just help tell the story. And I'm always indebted to that show. And a lot of us were just completely crushed when it was all over. And was a joy to work on. So
I know. And I was so impressed again, like how many shows can we watch at one time, right? You can be doing so much. So I knew Ellie from the previous kind of incarnations in The Office,
yeah.
and I didn't realize just how great she is. I didn't realize just how strong of an actress she is, and how
Hmm.
much range she has at her disposal. That's one of the first things that kind of blew me away watching the first couple of episodes of the show. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, I see it. And I didn't even realize that Tina, it's kind of Tina's brainchild.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
didn't realize it until later, and then everything kind of started making sense with the 30 Rock connections and all of that. So it's just a really, really excellent show. I'm still not done with it, so I still have, I think, a season to go. I still
Okay.
haven't gotten to Daniel's character, who I'm really looking forward to see. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll cry in a couple of months when I finish.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else there. So,
I think
but
what I learned the most about that one is quiet subtleties. That is something was something beautiful to learn from that show. Quiet subtleties. You're thinking comedy, you're thinking that it needs to be big, that it needs to be like and truthfully, it was all about just being quiet and enjoying those moments, which is great.
I love that. I wrote that down. I'm thinking about that as the name of this episode. Although I'm not sure that ties into everything else that we're talking about, but I'm definitely going to use it somewhere. Quiet subtleties.
Quiet subtleties, absolutely.
And then jumping into other stuff that you were doing, because I saw you in a bunch of commercials. Again, I watched your reel in prep for this, and you're having so much fun, and you're combining your dancing with your singing with the physical comedy, and you're doing a lot of that in commercials. I thought you were awesome and completely natural in all of those spots, and I really like it. How is your kind of commercial work doing? Because again, I thought it was excellent.
I think truthfully, I think it's my favorite thing to do.
I would
I
agree.
think it is. I think it is. And partly I think it's because, of course, in this world, everything is collaboration. Everything is about the teams. And I always notice that commercial teams really, there's just like this extra pep of sugar or something they're taking that I don't know what it is, but everyone on commercial sets seems to be like 10 times more livelier and really happy. Maybe it's because they know that the project is quick and it's done, and it's just a nice way of creatives to sort of merge, have something completely explode, and then it's put out into space. I don't know what it is about commercial sets, but I just do love that everything is about selling the product, and it seems like it's just a room full of salespeople, ready to market and ready to feel inspired and ready to push a product and so everything is about that. And so when you're working with a whole team of people and your crew and everyone that's just there to collaborate, to have a good time and have fun, there seems to be a lot more freedom to play and a lot more freedom to grow, because also I think a lot of these companies throw a lot of money behind these commercials.
Oh yeah.
And so I notice little things like maybe the craft services table is just tad better than a film or television set, or I noticed that there's just a lot more excitement about the way that things are approached, and it's always on location, or it's always something, you're not in a studio where you're going to work every day in the same place. I feel like a lot of these commercial crews just love the adventure, and they love it seems to be it could be on a mountaintop, it could be on a resort, it could be in a pool setting, it could be invading someone's house for the day, and it just seems there's just a lot of that unexpected energy that's happening, and so I love that. And I always love working when there's a lot of unknowns, and working on commercials is just something that it's quick fun, and you're given a lot of freedom to just be yourself, I think, and use those subtle quiet moments to really shine. I've had a lot of fortune to dance in commercials, which is nice, and do a lot of my musical theater background, but I also love the comedy, and I love working on things that where you're really a part of the process, as opposed to being told what to do all the time, and being directed in a way that is boxing you in. I feel commercials, I'm just, you're there to be a ham and sell your personality, and that's always a good fun thing too.
I think I agree with you for the most part. I just think that you haven't been in some commercials where you had to memorize all sorts of medical jargon, and then you have to pronounce everything perfectly, and you're there for about 15 hours and now say it like this, and now
See, but no. See, I only do dancing doctor commercials.
Okay. You're also doing the fireman, and playing with fire, and all sorts of things. But no, it's the commercials that I've seen you in were great. They were fun, and I can see you enjoying them. That's what was cool for me.
Yeah, it's always a joy. Always a joy to work on them.
Very cool. All right. Again, I wanted to kind of dive into a lot of the things that we normally would talk about, of your ideas on auditioning, your ideas on acting methods, but I'm just going to direct people to your channel, and I want them to get the ideas from there, because that's the appropriate place. But I wanted to ask you a few more questions. You've been on a ton of projects. Again, you've done all sorts of different things. If you had to pick a favorite, if there is such a thing, what would that one be?
I'm totally frozen right now. Wait, hold on.
I know.
Um, God, that's hard
I know.
because out of the theater projects, um, I can't compare film to theater. I think they're both beautiful, and I respect them both
Yep.
very much. I think if it was a theater project, probably what I've done recently, and then what I've done maybe 20 years ago, if that makes any
Okay.
sense. Uh,
Sure.
just very quickly, I think 20 years ago I did it was a performance art piece called De la Guarda Villa Villa, which was a off-Broadway show that ran in New York City for many, many years, and it later became Forza Bruta, and they toured, all around the world with it. And it was developed by these Argentines who were street protesters, and they would do street performances, basically protesting the government and everything that's going on at the time. And they created this beautiful piece of art, and it was all aerial work. And I was an aerialist for a good year and a half. And to me, that was incredible. It was rising at the same time that Stomp was rising and Blue Man Group,
Yeah.
and it was part of the whole downtown New York City, performance art scene that was really, really hip at the time in the 90s. And that to me was showed me so much about what it was to be an artist. And that was an incredible blessing. And then more recently, I was a part of a wonderful cast of Anna in the Tropics at
Mm.
Colorado, at the Colorado Fine Arts Center in Colorado Springs, and I was there for a couple of months, and I had the joy of playing the role of Cheche, which was a play written by Nilo Cruz, and has won many awards and was on Broadway for a good a good time. And I had just such a joy diving into that character and really just doing a drama, a straight play. For me, that was absolute joy as well. So I think those two. I'm gonna say I'm gonna notch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna notch the theater stuff up there.
No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
What was the weirdest thing that ever happened to you on a set, be theater or or TV, that you are
Um.
allowed to share?
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's many weird things I see. I can
Go for it.
share that. There's a
Let's
lot
do
of
it.
weird things I see. No, I mean, I think, I think the things that humble me or the things that really teach me a lot is when I'm on set and I see someone who maybe might be throwing tantrums or something like that in the middle of working and in front of a crew and in front of strangers, basically.
Yeah.
I've seen actors do that, and that always teaches me a lot about what not to do.
Yep.
And I don't care who you are, or where you come from, or how much work you've done, or how much success you've had in your life. I still feel like there's a certain beautiful thing that you need to have, which is respect and confidence, and also learning how to take your personal issues outside of the room.
Yeah.
Uh, and so for me, I think any of those kinds of experiences, whether good or bad or crazy, are always learning experiences. But I have seen things like that, at the moment you're kind of like, oh wow, is this really happening? and
Yeah.
then you have to assure yourself, yes, it is. And then how do I move on from this? And how do I take this and learn for myself? But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of this trend going on now, this thing going on in the entertainment world where people are being called out for the way or the behaviors of how they treat other people on set, and they're and that people are trying to like kill people's careers. And all I think about is just, everybody has a right to have a bad day. I mean, we are human. We are human beings. And yes, we can have good days and bad days, but not at the expense of other people, and not at the expense of our fellow collaborators and workers and team that we're trying to, go through this with this final project. So I'm always working with gratitude, and I'm always grateful and thankful. I've never had any crazy things happen, but I've had just wonderful little sources of light, um, and I've been able to really be appreciative of every single little thing that has sort of come my way, and never take advantage of any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And by the way, you just wrote the name of this episode. The name of the episode will be Source of Light. So
There we go. There we go. And of course, we're talking about ring lights.
yes, we are. And one that's inside of you right there. Who's the best actor you ever got a chance to work with?
Man, Alan, you're just like, these are such good questions that I was not preparing myself for.
Good. And by the way, I never send questions to anybody who comes onto my show, and I do it for a reason, because I want things to be organic. I never want anybody to be prepped and say,
Of course.
"Oh, these questions, and that's going to be the order of the questions." No, it's a conversation.
I've had the pleasure of working, either within the same scene, alongside the room, or anything, with a lot of people that I've idolized, people that I've loved growing up. So I've had a lot of really wonderful experiences with that.
Yeah.
But in terms of in a scene together, working with that, right across, Thomas Jane comes to mind. Thomas Jane to me was just incredible. I had wonders of working with him on Crown Vic. It was just about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we shot up in Buffalo, and it was a film that was produced by Alec Baldwin, and it was a indie cop film, which actually is very timely to watch today, actually.
Yeah.
And he
I saw that was a difficult scene to watch for me right now with everything that's going on around.
yeah, and he was just brilliant, and he's of the earth, and he's just so real. And we had worked on one specific scene, I remember, that was out in the streets, and we were 3-4 in the morning, and he had to take me and slam me on a car hood, on this cop car hood. And
Yeah.
we had a couple of a violent exchange back and forth, very physical, and he was very careful, but also full of surprises, and that just helped me react a lot more to whatever he was throwing my way. And it was great, because every single time we shot that, it was just, I never knew what to expect from him, which was amazing, because it always kept me on my toes. And that was a great moment for me, working with him. And I've always admired his work. I've always admired his stuff. And then I have to say, SNL. My first time on SNL was with someone that I grew up loving my entire life, which was Drew Barrymore.
Aw.
And I thought she was my girlfriend when I first saw E.T. And then throughout all life, we've always had some really interesting commonalities and things we loved. And I guess it's because we're both close to the same age, and so we grew up loving a lot of the same things in pop culture and things like that. And when I finally got to meet her and work with her, she was everything that I expected her to be. It is not an act. Everything you see of her is true and real and vulnerable and loving and giving, and she was just radiating so much light and so much glow, and it fulfilled everything that I ever thought of that Drew Barrymore would be with. So that, and plus she comes from a lineage of incredible, esteem in the acting world, and I just felt like, yes, fine, this was just great. So I thank her for always making my first time on that show being comforting, and it was everything I could ever have wanted for my first time there.
Drew is amazing.
Yeah,
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 absolutely. And that
yeah.
reminds me, for whatever reason, unbeknownst to me, I have not invited Drew onto the show. I'm going to do it as soon as the show is done taping. I'm going to go invite
Yeah,
her because I love her as well.
yeah.
All right, last question. If you had a chance to go back in time and talk to a young Alex and give him one bit of acting advice, what would that be?
Um, Keep asking questions, and study more than you ever think you can ever study. I almost wish that young Alex could have taken more dance classes when he was younger, and more, just anything to help broaden the tools. I get a lot of young actors all the time who ask me, how much do I need to train, or how do I get an agent? And it's like, wait a moment, forget getting this agent thing, and I think the big trend that I find is a lot of young actors just want to jump from A to Z without understanding B through Y. And uh, there is so much in the world of B through Y that is all about training and all about experiencing and going through hardships in life, learning from hardships, learning from the ups and the downs of just living life. That I feel like it just stunts you from understanding that acting is about exploring life, and it's not so much about what it is there's so much fixation on final product or the end result, or how is this movie going to look, or how is this TV show going to, where it's all about, no, stop, like, what am I learning, what is my journey, what is the process? And so I feel like I would tell my young self to enjoy process a lot more and stop fixating on end, the end all the time. Uh, I would have never, gone through all the experiences I've gone through in my life if it wasn't for me to just stay open-minded and keep learning new skills.
Yeah.
And one thing always helped the other. The choreography helped the directing helped the writing helped the acting. Being a casting director helped me become a better actor. Just by watching, how other people audition all the time. I have been fortunate enough to step into all those different shoes because I wanted to learn about all those different shoes. So yeah, I would always recommend that to any young person, that learn everything, learn lighting. If you're in the theater and you're in a community theater and you didn't get the role you wanted, you would get more out of learning what that lighting booth is about or what that sound booth is about. Contribute, donate your time to learn what it is to learn marketing, making a poster, graphic design, anything that's going to help you market yourself as an actor, because all those things are going to come in handy later on in life.
Certainly. Well, Alex, I have a ton more questions for you. I hope you come back so we can do a second part of this. Maybe what we can do is, after you're done with every one of your seasons, we're going to have you on and then continue our discussions. I would love that.
The wrap up.
Perfect. Well, listen, you're an inspiration. You're a great source of light, and you're a really good friend. And I really appreciate you jumping.
Thank you, Alan. It's been a joy. And again, I'm here to help anything you need. And I'm really enjoying the show. I'm really enjoying people who are coming on, and I love I love watching how your channel is also an intimate look at people's lives without all of the chaos. So it's great. It's really nice. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And thanks to everybody for tuning in. We know you love acting as much as we do. That's why we do this for you. Please go follow Alex's channel. Go check it out, learn. And if you feel like it, please, we'd love for you to subscribe to ours as well. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.